First of all, very good morning to all of you. In this class, I am going to start with another topic of chapter, the living world. Before going to start, first revise our previous class content, then we proceed to the today's topic. And the topic is simply the diversity in the living world. Diversity in the living world. So before going to start, first revise our previous class content, then we proceed to the today's topic. In previous class, we have already discussed about the what is living. Simply, each organism, when we observe, or we can easily differentiate in between what is that? Is that living or is that non-living? Simply according to the characteristics. So now, what are the characteristics which are shown by the living organism generally? So we are generally discussing about the different type of characteristics that living organism can grow, can reproduce, have consciousness, or another is most important, that is show metabolism. So all these points we include into the living organism, or by which we identify we are going to see any object or any organism. We identify that that organism is living or not. So on the basis of this, we have already discussed in previous class that each and every organism can grow, but if we talk about in unicellular organism, they their reproduction and the growth are similar, because they grow by mitosis division, by the cell division, and also the mitosis division also takes place in the reproduction. So overall, the growth or reproduction are the two faces of a single coin. Simply for the unicellular organism only. But if we talk about the higher organism like animal and plants, the plants can grow throughout their lifespan, whereas if we talk about the animal can grow up to their lifespan only. But the non-living organism also can grow because of the accumulation of different substances. The mountain and formed by the accumulation of soil and rock. River, the enlargement or the width of river also can increase by the accumulation, by the deposition of water. So growth cannot be taken as defining property of living organism according to the definition. Now next is reproduction. So each and every organism can reproduce, but there are so many examples of living organism, or that are exceptions, they cannot be reproduced. For example, infertile human can also are unable to reproduce, like mule, which is a combination of horse and donkey, also not reproduce, they are sterile, and honeybees, worker honeybees are also sterile. Now overall, these are the processes, the reproduction cannot be taken as defining property of living organism. Next is metabolism. So metabolism actually is a reactions which takes place in our living cells. Different type of reaction for the formation of protein and enzyme, but the metabolism cannot be taken in the non-living life or in laboratory too, because those chemical reaction which are performed in laboratories, they are not actually simultaneous reactions. They are performed by scientists of the and the worker which actually working on that chemical. Now next is there is no exception on the metabolism. So metabolism taken as a defining property of living organism. Next is consciousness. So the consciousness or the response towards any stimulus, perform the response for any stimulus given by only living organism. So consciousness is the defining property of living organism. So if we talk about what are the defining property of living organism, so only metabolism and consciousness are the defining property of living organism, because there are so many exceptions present in the reproduction process or in the growth process. So that's why the growth and reproduction cannot be taken as defining property of living organism. Now next is the come to the today's topic, diversity in the living organism. The diversity in the living organism, simply when we going on picnic or tour, we observe so many organisms. If in our daily life we can also observe so many living organisms present on earth. These are what we observe in our daily life. There are insects like ant, we observe daily. Birds also we observe in daily life. Cattle also we observe in daily life. Now these are the varieties of animal: birds, animals, cattle, insect, worms, earthworms like, or the minute worm, or bacteria, fungus. These are unicellular organism. These are the organism which can easily seen by eyes, but there are so many organisms we are not able to see with naked eye. So we observe them only in the microscope or only in the electronic microscope, like bacteria, virus. Except these unicellular organism, protozoans. These are also we are not able to see them with naked eyes. Now next is the plants, variety of plants. So grasses we observe, herbs we observe. Now there are so many varieties of herbs, there are so many varieties of grasses. Shrubs are also observed. Now shrubs, plants like higher plants, small plants, angiosperm, gymnosperm, pteridophytes, bryophytes. There are so many plants. So simply these are the plants. So many living organisms present on earth. It cannot be written the all living organisms are not possible that write the name of those organisms right on board, because there are so many living organisms present on earth from ranges in between 1.7 millions to 1.8 millions of living organisms present on earth, which have been identified by the scientists, and naming of these organisms also provided by the different scientists. So because of the presence of the huge variety of living organisms on the basis of their shape, size, cellular structure, morphology, anatomy, all these included, or into the diversity. So every living organism are different from the other on the basis of their cell components, cell structure, habitat, morphology and anatomy too. Now there are so many variety of insect are present on the earth, birds are also present on the earth. So all these organisms included into the diversity. So we can say the number of living organisms present on earth or number of living organism also shows the different type of characteristic. So these are included into the diversity. So we can easily say that the diversity present on the earth due to the presence of different type of living organism on earth, they on the basis of cellular structure they can be divided into prokaryotic and eukaryotic. There are other organisms which do not show such type of cellular organization. These are the viruses, simply viruses. So they do not show any prokaryotic cellular organization and eukaryotic cellular organization. Both are absent in viruses. Now protozoans, they exhibit eukaryotic cellular organization, but they are microscopic like bacteria. Bacteria show another type of cellular organization, that is prokaryotic cellular organization. The prokaryotic cellular organization is quite different from the eukaryotic eukaryotic cellular organization. So on the basis of these their structure, their size, their number, they are included into the diversity. All these features are included into the diversity. The number of varieties are present on earth, so that varieties are included into the number of diversity present on earth simply. So now there are 1.7 to 1.8 millions of organisms present on earth, millions of organism present on earth. So because to identify them this is the main complexity of the living organism, because to provide them naming so that we can observe in any area of the earth, or we can easily identify the observed organism by their name. For example, there are so many species are available. If we talk about the insects, the Apis indica is the common honeybee, which are included into the insectia or arthropod, not insect, arthropod. There are different kind of living organism present on earth. So the organism which are present in our local area, like Apis indica, honeybee, a simple species of Apis indica, which shows the scientific name of the honeybee, actually present in India only. So, but they are not identified or not observed in other countries of the world. So they this variety, the variety which is found only in India, or not only over all the world. On the basis of this, the name of honeybee, the scientific name of honeybee given living organism. So naming of living organism are very important for the identification of that organism. For the identification of that organism. Because of this reason, the naming given to the living organism for the identification of that living or specific living organism in different words. For example, in local language we call the honey bee, in Hindi madhumakhi, but in our country, in the other countries other than the India, they are known by the name honeybee or the other name in their local name. So how could we identify that madhumakhi is equivalent to the characteristic of honeybee in other according to the America or UK, for example? But in other countries like like Turkish or Istanbul and other which actually not their language are different than the English language, called them by the other name, called these Apis indica or honeybee by the other name. So how can we identify that their name, the name which are provided by the other country to the Apis indica is similar to the honeybee which is found in India? So on the basis of these, the each and every organism provide the identification is needed and recognition is also needed for the. So for the identification of these organisms, the scientific name provided to scientific name provided by different organization. These are ICBN and ICZN. ICBN and ICZN. These are the different organizations for the identification. These organisms provide the name to the different organism, different living organism belongs to the plant species or belong to the animal species. For example, the full form of for example, if we are going to observe or we are the name of mango tree provided by, for example, or the other plant like Antirrhinum species, the name done by the ICBN because the Antirrhinum is the flowering plant, or simple the dog flower. Commonly they are known by the dog flower or dragon flower. So these are two names which given by the local area, and the Antirrhinum given by the ICBN. Now if we talk about the ICZN, so a common house lizard given by the local area and the Hemidactylus given by the ICZN. And so many names of the living organism given. For example, if we talk about the human is also belongs to the animal group because they shows the animal characteristic. So the ICZN give the name Homo sapiens to human, or the commonly or in local area known by the human simply. So if we talk about the full form of ICBN, so international, the full form of ICBN is International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. International Code for botanical nomenclature. Now, second is ICZN. ICZN, another organization which provide name to the organism belongs to animal group. So, full form is International Code for Zoological Nomenclature. Zoological nomenclature. Nomenclature. So overall, these are about the zoological nomenclature. Now, the naming which are provided by these organization is known as nomenclature. Simply, the process of naming is known as nomenclature. Process of naming is known as nomenclature. So process of naming is known as nomenclature, which is simply these organizations provide the name of living organism. The binomial nomenclature, first is binomial nomenclature, which was given by the Carolus Linnaeus, scientist, was also known as father of taxonomy. So he is father of taxonomy because he gave the binomial nomenclature, which is a two-name system of living organism given by Carolus Linnaeus, scientist. Binomial nomenclature. Binomial nomenclature are simply two-name system system two-name system given by scientist Carolus Linnaeus. In Carolus Linnaeus, that is father of taxonomy. Father of, also known by father of taxonomy. Father of taxonomy. So he given the two naming system. Two naming system are also said to be binomial nomenclature, which is simply two name provided to organisms. So first name shows the generic name and second name shows the specific epithet. Now, in the two naming system also said to be given by the Carolus Linnaeus. He was a scientist, or also known by the father of taxonomy. Or according to him, the first name is generic name and the second name is a specific epithet. So first name shows the characteristic of living organism, and the second is the specific characteristics of the living organism shown by a particular species only. So that's why two name systems are important, or the classification. The two naming system is also depend on the classification of living organism, because the classification also determine the categorize the living organism on the basis of their specific characteristics. So in the binomial nomenclature, the first name is generic name, and the second name is specific epithet. Specific epithet, that means species name. So he also include the who gave he also include in the naming system naming system of living organism, the scientist name. For example, in the last, scientist name also included in the naming system of living organism. So overall, if we talk about Mangifera indica, the scientist Carolus Linnaeus given the name Mangifera indica to mango, or also in the last of the name, the scientist name also included in the scientific name. Like if we write mango name in the scientific language, in the two binomial nomenclature, the mango name is Mangifera indica, LIN. So, and both LIN, that represents the scientist name, or the Mangifera indica, that means the Mangifera indica given by the scientist Carolus Linnaeus. So overall, the scientist name also included in previous time also include after the naming system, after the binomial nomenclature, or there are so many rules provided by the ICBN and ICZN and Carolus Linnaeus. Carolus Linnaeus, the scientist, how we write the scientific name of the living organism. How can we write the scientific name of living organism? The rules of the binomial nomenclature we will discuss in next class. So here is the overall about the diversity in the living organism. In the diversity, there are so many living organisms present on earth. Simply, there are prokaryotes, eukaryotes, unicellular, multicellular. Some are the tissue grade level of organization show by the living organism. Some shows the organ grade of organization, and some organism also shows no any such kind of organization, like do not show the prokaryotic cellular organization, and also not show by them the eukaryotic living or cellular organization, like viruses. Now, some of the prokaryotic organisms, some of the eukaryotic organisms, some are the plants, and some belongs to the animals, some belongs to the algae, fungus group, or bryophytes, pteridophytes. So overall, these are the organisms which show the different type of characteristic. On the basis of the different type of characteristic shown by the living organism, the two organizations are main organization that which provide them to name for by which they can identify by the name in any area of the world, because in the world so many languages are is spoken by different type of different type of country, by the different countries, so overall the scientific name given by the scientists can help in the identification of the living organism. First, Carolus Linnaeus, who gave the binomial nomenclature, are also said to be two naming system to the living organism. One first name shows the generic name and the second name shows the specific epithet or according to the specific characteristic of the living organism. Like Mangifera indica shows the specific characteristic, that means this type of mango only found in India. Mangifera shows the generic name. Overall, the different type of varieties of mango are present on the earth, so all belongs to the Mangifera. But if they belong to other countries or other, so the species name may change. So for example, this Carolus Linnaeus also gave the rules of nomenclature. So in next class we will discuss about the rules of nomenclature. I hope you like this video. Keep listening and watching me, and thank you for listening and watching me.